Hey guys, welcome to our channel. So we're decoding stovetop, Stouffer's to craft. We got the letters to go through the stock market. Now we're on genetics. And let me just say, not be it like me to announce when I think I'm wrong. But at one point, I wondered if Kraft just didn't buy Stouffer's stovetop, and then they buried it so nobody knew and kind of used it as a psyop. I wondered that. I never really said anything. And I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to run the decode. But after two categories and with the ease at which it went through, I'm fairly certain now that this was in fact changed with a quantum computer. So, you got Stouffer's to craft. And if you cross off the T, because it's still here in craft, and if you cross off this F, because it's still here in craft, if you cross off this R, because it's still here in craft, you wind up with S-O-U-F. S-O-U-F, is there an E? E-S, yep. And then K-A from craft. So you bring down S-O-U-F-E-S-K-A. Alright. You start right away with SOU, and SOU ends up being Southern Oregon University David Oline, and he teaches genetics among other things. So we're going to keep an eye on this, see if the pattern holds out. So we circled this guy, this university. All right, if you move on from that, you got OU, and OU ends up being genetics, OU medicine. All right, Oklahoma University. I'll provide these links, guys. But we circle them to keep an eye on them, and also circled the next one. UF is University of Florida Genetics Institute. So I might even be more interested in that than Oklahoma, but we'll see. If you move on from that, you have FES, which ends up being FES gene. All right. Let's take a look. FES gene. This gene encodes the human cellular counterpart of a feline sacroma retrovirus protein with transforming capabilities. It's a protein kinase activity. So, gene product has protein kinase activity. So it's a protein gene. How many of those have we got? But if you move on from that, you end up with FE, and FE ends up being Labs and Offices, Integrated Genetics at Santa Fe, New Mexico. NM, huh? Well, that's interesting, because now you got NM, and that, I never looked at that before. Manwich, MNNM, Minnesota, New Mexico. Wow. Okay. But anyway, you got Labs and Offices. So you got a lab. Labs and Offices Integrated Genetics, Santa Fe, New Mexico. And they do genetic testing, it looks like. But I'll just provide this home page. But if you move on from that, you have you get ES, which is human embryonic stem cells. We've had that before in previous searches. So I don't think that I have to get too far into that. So we'll just move on. If you move on from ES, you get ESK, which is ESK kinase. Multiple cDNAs encoding the ESK kinase predict transmembrane and intracellular enzyme isoforms. This is on the NCBI. We've used them a lot. But if you move on from that, you got SKA, and that ends up being SKA3, a protein coding gene. I don't think I have to get into that either. How many protein coding genes have we found? But if you move on from that, you get Ka, which ends up being Ka-Ks ratio. I believe we've had something similar to that in the past. Nope. And I don't think I have to get too far into it. I'll provide the link. And if you move on from that, you wind up with, oh, never mind. That actually gets you through going forwards. And now we're coming back through this. And you have AKS. We'll just go AKS. AKS ends up being AKS gene expression in actinic keratosis, AKS. All right, if you move on from that, you have KS, which I was looking for anything from Kansas because that's a state, right? But you end up with KS is Klinefelter syndrome, and KS is also Clinical Genetics, University of Kansas. University of Kansas Clinical Genetics. And we've circled them to keep an eye on. See. But if you move on from that, you have SEF, which ends up being SEF tumor suppressor. And this says they inject, oh, what? FES, SEF tumor suppressor. Okay. Now, I might have to pull that one back up, guys. At any rate, SEF is a tumor suppressor. And from what I read about it, they inject it, and it suppresses tumors. Not much to say about it. But if you move on from that, you get FUO, which ends up being fever of unknown origin. Fever of unknown origin in the outpatient setting, a retrospective analysis of 30 cases of familial Mediterranean fever. Familial Mediterranean fever, excuse me. So, fever of unknown origin. Well, that's weird. Mediterranean fever, but unknown origin. Okay, well, that's what it says, so that's what you got. Fever of unknown origin. If you move on from that, you have FU, and that ends up being FUG. And it's possible protein isoforms. So there's more protein stuff. All right, but if you move on from that, you wind up with UO, which ends up being Department of Biology, University of Oregon. We circled them. And if you move on from that, you get UOS, and UOS ends up being Human Genetics and Stem Cells Laboratory. And if you read here, UOS launched a Human Genetics and Stem Cells Laboratory. So we circled them as well. And OS, finally, the last two letters coming back, ends up being osteosarcoma, and it ends up dealing with cancer genetics. Cancer genetics. And that gets you through going forward and backwards in the medical category of Stouffer stovetop, craft stovetop. So, yeah, I'm kind of no longer thinking that this was just done. I'm now thinking it was done with a quantum network. Thinking back to our random letter generator, even the one that went through was difficult to get through, and this was just no problem. No problem. Almost too much information going on with it. So that so far fits the pattern of these quantum computers. My guess is it's going to end up being a Freemasonic quantum computer, but I could be wrong about that too. I mean, I was wrong. I won't say that I thought that I knew. I just thought in my head that maybe Kraft actually bought out Stofers for stovetop, and then they never told anybody, and then it became a psyop, just because it would have been that easy to do, for no other reason. But no, not thinking they did it that way at all. It's looking like it fits the pattern. It's looking like a Mandela effect from a quantum computer again. But we'll find out. We'll keep going. So next will be chemical, I think. So we'll run that search either today or tomorrow. So these take a while. So for now, guys, thanks for all your thumbs up, thumbs down. Thanks for your comments, leads, feedback, and subscriptions. And thanks for watching, guys. And for now, you guys have a great rest of your day.